Welcome to SuperTraining.tv. Super Training Gym, the strongest gym in the West. Here we are hitting up some speed deadlifts, aka dynamic effort deadlifts. We have the band on there. The band helps to create a more optimal environment for speed training. We're trying to produce as much force as we possibly can. We got some sub-maximal weights on there, ranging from 65 to 75% or so. You're going to see the percentage is much higher for some of the other guys, but for me it's probably in that range, 65 to 75%. And we're trying to pretend that our max is on there and trying to apply as much force as we possibly can. And sometimes, due to the way that you hit the weight, you might even produce a similar amount of force that you would to a max lift. So the goal is to just be as violent as possible and to really try to lift the weight as fast as you possibly can. And we do so over and over and over again for multiple sets. A dynamic effort method could be used for 6 sets of 2 all the way up to 15 sets of 2. I've done that before. Jacked and tan, there you go. Giving the people what they want. The bands are accommodating resistance. The weights are heavier at the top and they're lighter at the bottom. By training like this, you're going to teach your body to become more explosive. You can do so. You don't necessarily, I want to make it clear, you don't necessarily need bands. You don't necessarily need chains. But the bands and the chains can make things more optimal due to the fact that there's no deceleration. You're going to accelerate throughout the entire range of motion. Think about doing a bench press and trying to accelerate as hard and as fast as you can, trying to lock your elbows in as hard as you can with 135 pounds on the bar. For those of you that bench 300 pounds or more, that is going to hurt. It's going to hurt your elbows. It's going to hurt pretty much everything. But if you have a band on there, even though the weights are greater, even with the same amount of bar weight, it's going to be heavier overall at the top, but your body's going to be able to accelerate and not decelerate at all throughout the entire range of motion. So, a lot of people get all, worked up about bands or chains, or some people, train with them nonstop. Some people don't train with them at all. And I think the answer always lies somewhere in the middle. If you have access to them, if you have the ability to use a band or a chain, I would say why not? Why not use it? And also keep in mind, so much of this is about longevity and having fun. And when you're able to mix things up, it'll make things more fun. Also, when you're injured or banged up, it's kind of nice to have the weights be a little bit lighter at the bottom. So something like a little bit of chain on a squat, and having the weights be a little bit lighter at the bottom, can really give you a nice break. Really, it seems like it would be worse, but it can really give you a nice break from the monotony of just handling the straight up hardcore heavy weights all the time. Felt like my form was locked in pretty good on this day. I still got a long way to go. Seems like I forget something every single time. Here's my boy Treston Eugene Shull, who's going to be going for 2,600 plus pound total come November. If you're wondering why Treston is not jacked and tan and shredded, it's genetics. He can't be. He actually has Treston has overlapping muscle, which will not allow him to look ripped, according to his mother. Although, look at there. He looks pretty shredded there. I like the camo hat. That's probably the best part of the ensemble there. Although, he could probably one-up himself and just wear the cowboy hat, which he pretty much wears every day as well. The man of many hats. Looks like I'm tightening my back up enough there, getting it straight enough, flat enough, able to drive the hips through enough. Looking okay. Treston could always do a little bit better job of flattening out the back, but he kind of has short arms, so when he flattens out his back, the weights kind of automatically come up off the ground. This guy here has been training with us for a little while now, and he, on this day, unfortunately, he just went too heavy kind of over and over again. Here's Chris Stamos, the very handsome and elegant Chris Stamos. After the deadlift party or the semi deadlift party. We only did one deadlift movement on this day. We feel like we've been smashing on our hamstrings pretty good, so we just hit up some bent over rows. You saw when Silent Mike was deadlifting against those bands that it was really exploiting a weakness of his lockout, and it was hard for him to get his hips through and hard for him to flex his arse all the way through. Good squat there by Chris. Something that would help Mike tremendously would probably be something like A, hold the weights at the top, flex your butt as hard as you possibly can, and B, some Dimmel deadlifts. Maybe we'll do a little demo on some Dimmel deadlifts coming up pretty soon, as we've been demoing some exercises as of late at Super Training Gym. So I don't know how to use straps, and that's what this is about. I think Jim, sometimes he's recording stuff to record it, to document it. I think other times just recording stuff, and he's laughing on the inside, and maybe even on the outside. But he knows full well I don't know how to use straps, and so does everybody else in the gym. And so every time I go to use them, it takes me like an hour to set them up, and then they still don't even help me. So I don't know what the hell's going on. Maybe I need to have a pro strongman come in here and coach me up. But anyway, we're trying to do some rows, and you can see how terrible I am at these. Form's not very good. I got to keep the chest up a little bit more and not bend over quite as much. Strength is never a weakness, and that is it from supertraining.tv.